Most people, when they think about the Four Corners region of the Southwest, think of the majestic buttes of Monument Valley, the wide-open desolation of Valley of the Gods, and of course, the unique aspect of the Four Corners Monument separating Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. However, there are many, many other fascinating areas to be explored in this portion of the Southwest. Today, we are going to several of those sites in my Jeep, ones which are in some ways more remote from popular tourist locations, which means less crowds. In previous videos, I explored some of these areas like my Hole in the Rock series, the Bridge at Heights Crossing, and Jacob's Chair Trail. If you are not subscribed, I encourage you to do so where you can find those videos on my channel. We're going to start off by first venturing into the northwest corner of New Mexico to view some ancient native people rock art and ruins. Then we will continue that theme by visiting Hovenweep, a little north into Utah, before heading back west to sweeping views at Goosenecks and Muley Point, and finally traversing down the famed Moki Dugway dirt trail. Let's head out. Cuervo Canyon, otherwise known as Crow Canyon, is an historic site about 30 miles outside of Farmington, New Mexico. Located in Dinatah, the traditional homeland of the Navajo people, this site contains a variety of Navajo ruins and rock art from the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries. Access is in a remote area out of Canyon Largo using oil-filled roads to get to the Crow Canyon. Navajo Pueblitos, also known as Dinatah Pueblitos, refers to archaeological sites consisting of small stone and timber structures, which are believed to have been built in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. Generally found at defensive locations along mesa rims and on isolated outcrops or boulders, the structures can vary from 1 to 6 rooms with multiple floors. Most scholars agree that these were likely built to serve as advance warning posts or access points by the Navajo people during the times of revolt between the native peoples and the Spaniards. The Crow Canyon petroglyphs are the most extensive and well-known collection of carved rock art from this period in the American Southwest. Most of the images are clustered in what are referred to as panels on the lower cliff faces and may have been associated with ceremonial events. Located along the boundary between southeastern Utah and southwestern Colorado, Hovenweep is a Paiute Ute word meaning deserted valley, which was applied to this area by explorers in 1874. Most of the structures in Hovenweep were built between AD 1200 and 1300, when approximately 2,500 people lived here. Experts have determined that the inhabitants abandoned this area by the end of the 13th century and migrated south to the Rio Grande Valley in New Mexico and the Little Colorado River Basin in Arizona. Today's Pueblo, Zuni, and Hopi people are descendants of this culture. We are visiting the main portion of the monument, which is called the Square Tower Site, by hiking on a 2-mile trail around the canyon rim. There are 5 other sites with associated structures spread over a 20-mile area crossing the state line. The hike allows you to get within 5 to 10 feet of many of the structures, which really gives you a perspective for how these structures not only were constructed, but stood for over 700 years. Mexican Hat is encompassed within an area referred to as Canyon Country, where the lower valleys are surrounded by picturesque sandstone buttes, rock formations, and the San Juan River meandering its way through the region. First, we will head to Gooseneck Point, overlooking the deep channel carved by the San Juan River. Over millions of years, changes in the earth forced the river to carve incised meanders over 1,000 feet deep, while the surrounding landscape slowly rose in elevation. Situated above the goosenecks of the San Juan River, Muley Point offers one of the most commanding views in this region of Canyon Country. Standing on the edge of this point provides you with a perspective 1,000 feet above the canyons below, with an additional 1,000 feet below that to the actual river. After driving on a rough dirt road along the top of Cedar Mesa, there are several spots which offer surrounding panoramic views of the valley below. Leaving Muley Point, we head back across Cedar Mesa and head down a steep, narrow, mostly unpaved, 3-mile section of road rising 1,200 feet above the valley floor. Known for having very few guardrails and grades as steep as 11%, Moki Dugway offers stunning views of the valley. That is, if you feel comfortable enough turning your line of sight away from the road to enjoy those views. It was originally constructed in 1958 as a mining road to transport uranium ore from Fry Canyon to Mexican Hat. There are very few spots along this route which allow for 2 vehicles to pass each other side by side. During my drive, I pulled over a few times to let oncoming vehicles traveling uphill to safely pass by. And when I say safely, I mean my tires were within a foot or 2 of the edge of the roadside cliff. What I find mesmerizing about trails or roads like Moki Dugway in this region is the feel of traveling through millions of years of geological evolution, descending from the lighter color slick rock on top of the mesa, down through the orange, red-colored sandstone, eventually getting to a deeper red by the time you arrive in the valley below. Sometimes when I'm traveling solo like I am today, I take the drive more than once, just so I can capture all the views when I'm looking around. It's very difficult to do that when you're driving and you're coming across very narrow sections of roads, especially shelf roads like this. You gotta keep your eye on the road even though you want to look around. The beauty is spectacular, but you don't want to go off the edge. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this adventure.